This time I'm going to ask our vice mayor to give us an invocation.
Good evening, Heavenly Father. We pray that you give us the understanding that we need as we listen to our residents and their concerns. We do want to do what's pleasing in your sight, Lord, for your people, your way, and our community. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for coming out tonight. The purpose of Vice Mayor and myself called this town hall is because of the item that we're going to have to be voting on later today. We are not in the position where we can answer your questions because we have not yet voted on this item, but we're here to hear what you have to say. So right now, whatever thoughts you might have, concerns you might have, the podium is open.
1 second, sir. 1 second. I think we're gonna do, no, planning and community.
Okay, we
development
can do that
first.
first.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, sir. We're
Yeah.
gonna listen to public community development planning planning first. Mr. Mark Cooper, you will be next, and then we'll hear from the residents. Thank you all.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Gerald Lee. I'm with the Planning and Community Development Department. Can you cue the program, please? I believe you have a copy of the same. Next slide, please. This is the ordinance that's being considered at the commission meeting later today for first reading. This item is to address the land use change for the property that's we all know as Cuyahoga. It's a contaminated site. It's approximately just under 8 acres. Next slide, please. If you know the history of the property, you know that this property has always been overgrown, seemingly, since the time of its history of being a brownfield and a contaminated site. It was abandoned. It's been a source of many citations and liens because of the conditions that the property was left in. For a long time, it just seemed to be a property that Miami-Dade County discussed about what was wrong with it and the violations that continued to be found there and the contamination that was already assessed and known, but not removed or addressed. The current owner has complied with what those requirements were that Miami-Dade provided. They've reduced or mitigated the contaminants that are on the site to the level of being able to develop it at the very least as an industrial commercial site. As you know, or as you may not know, the residential requirements for the level of contaminants that can be left on a property are at a greater cleanup requirement to be able to make it safe for people to live on the property. What they've done is clean the property to the level that you could at least make use of it and not continue to leave the many levels of contaminants in the ground, but reduce it to the level that you might be able to do industrial commercial use. They've to some degree, let's call it, encapsulated the site for the use that they have desired. The site is currently zoned residential townhouse, that's for residential use, and it has a mixed use overlay to allow for commercial uses as a secondary use to the site so that in the vision of what the city's comp plan and zoning was to allow townhouse development with commercial uses within the same site. That's what was desirous. But as we examine the level of contaminants and the amount of cleanup, it is only at that level for commercial and industrial use. The site is, again, inside the corridor mixed use overlay to allow for a secondary use. Next slide, please. That's just the location for anyone who doesn't know. It's at the eastmost portion of the city, just south of State Road 9 and just northeast of Ingram Park. Next slide, please. Okay, the applicant intends, with the level of cleanup that has occurred or that they have implemented and taken care of, they intend to construct 2 commercial buildings. One building is for the manufacture of their furniture. The other building is for the commercial sales of those furniture pieces, showrooms, and as I understand it from what they presented to us previously, that they would also allow for other retail commercial uses to bring some commercial to that site. They also intend to provide appropriate parking and landscaping as required by our code. The applicant has submitted multiple applications to address the changes that they have requested for this site. That being, first of all, the land use change from residential to industrial to allow for the zoning that they will be asking for. They also requested a change from RTH townhouse zoning for residential to low intensity light industrial to allow for the manufacture and display area for the furniture. They also requested for a site plan review for the changes that they're going to make, the buildings that are going to be put up, the landscaping that's going to be provided, the parking that'll be configured on the site, ingress and exit and entrance points for the property. And additionally, the site plan that they have discussed also indicates that the property is only going to be entered from State Road 9. So it won't come through the neighborhood. It won't circle around the neighborhood. It'll come off of State Road 9 that they've already cleared approvals from the state to allow them opening off of State Road 9 into this site. The fourth request that they have given us is that for a development agreement, which is to deal with the long-term maintenance of the site and for employment opportunities for city residents as a part of the development. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is the land use that we're addressing. Currently, that site is indicated as low to moderate residential density. That's what that's for. That's the designation that it has in the land use, and it is for a residential development. The way the comp plan works is the comp plan determines what the land use is, and then the land use permits or allows for the zoning that goes along with that land use. So if they're asking to change from residential to industrial, then the land use has to go from a residential land use to an industrial land use. And that's what they're requesting. As you can see from the map, the properties around this are all of the ilk of residential. However, this property, with the challenges that it has and with the expense that may be necessary to bring it to a new level for development, the property owner has determined that it would be in their best interest and hopefully for the city's best interest if they provide certain things to allow for it to be an industrial commercial site. Next slide, please. Okay, here's the heartburn. From a standpoint of the Planning and Community Development Department, we stand on what the code says, and based on the code, this use is not compatible with the neighborhood because it is a residential use and a residential land use, and we will be looking for a residential development to follow suit. But however, in the day-to-day aspect of this whole process, if you look at the opportunity that the city has to engage with this, if we're not a part of the development, then we have no opportunity to even pursue financial benefits or supports to help this process be what the land use and the zoning allows. Not being a part of it, and we look at what they have requested, if they are requesting to do an industrial commercial development, that is not something that we can agree with, but the commission doesn't have to follow the same marching orders that we have. Ours is based on what the code says currently. But if the commission wants to change what the land use is and the zoning and approve this project, the city will make sure that it's the right designation to allow for the development of the site. I understand that in the pursuit of the development of this property, that the expense of the development may be such that it's exorbitant, and that without huge resources, we have to look for a better way to develop the property. There are, next slide, there are comments from the other departments, but those departments, the information that they've provided, those are things that can be addressed through the DERM reviews that are going to be required, because they're going to oversee how they deal with the contaminants, the control of those contaminants on the site, and the encapsulation of it to not let the contaminants be something that is a problem for the residents of the city of Opa-locka. Both for the capital comments, next slide, please, and for the public works. It's one in between. Go back one. Okay, the next one. And the next one. And even the public works comments, those will be things that will be addressed by DERM to make sure that the residents of the city of Opa-locka are not receiving any contamination from the site. That's all I had.
Mr. Cooper?
How are you? Good evening, Mark Cooper, 6801 Southwest 75 Terrace. Thank you for this opportunity. I was at the first reading, and there was some issues that I thought needed to be addressed, and I'm happy you guys are having this before the hearing. The attorney is presenting the technical information as to the contamination on the property and it being insurmountable to take it to a residential status. But I don't know if the city commission is being afforded an engineering report or someone that can actually tell you from a professional standpoint that isn't an advocate for the developer, this is the reality of the situation. I'm not an engineer, I'm not an attorney. I just printed out the DERM docket for what's happened on that property. And I gave you guys a copy of it. I put some up for the people here. This property was purchased in March of 2018. And so as of March of 2018, it doesn't look like a lot of work has been done on the property. For example, since 2023, March of 2023, nothing's happened on the DERM pages as to technical stuff that's happened for purposes of bettering this property. So if the developer bought the property, by the way, I was around when the developer bought the property. This was a contaminated site. Everyone knew it was a contaminated site. The people who previously owned it to the owners now took over the property because they had done some work and weren't paid. So they took title and then they sold it. City manager Shiverton at the time reduced some of the fines that were on the property so that the new owner can get involved. And then maybe they haven't done enough to bring it to the level of residential, but they knew what they were getting into. And environmental contamination sites in the law, I'm not a lawyer, but I know enough that it's strict liability. When you buy a site that's contaminated, you know it's yours. You can't skirt the responsibility and say, we didn't know, it's not our problem. Essentially, what they're trying to do is now skirt the liability by saying, we can't take it to a residential level, but we can do is dump it on the guy who is, as long as the city just tweaks their zoning a little bit and gives up. The problem with this piece of land is it's 8 acres. And so if you consider the acreage in the city of Opa-locka, it's like 1/16 of the available residential land. So it's a lot to give up. I remember at the first reading, Mr. Dennis said, maybe you can put a wall up and give us some jobs. I don't think that's the right consideration for this size of property and this size situation relative to how it's going to affect the viability of Opa-locka moving forward. I think Opa-locka needs residential space. And if the city can just hold the owner's feet to the fire and say, no, you're going to get it to where we need to get it, maybe you don't have to give up the land. That's number one. Number two, I spoke with the owners at one point. They bought the property. It's on the first page of what I handed out for $475,000. I think what they paid to reduce the liens with Mr. City Manager Shimmer at the time, I think it was like $78,000. So let's say they're $550,000 into it as of 2018. And when I spoke with them, honestly, Mr. Reese, he's a real estate agent. Every time you speak with him, the price would go up and up and up and up and up. So their attorney's basic argument is when they had all the real estate companies that they've made contact with, that they couldn't close the deal because the deal wasn't feasible. Of course, it's not going to be feasible. I think at one point they're asking 5 million, 6 million for this property. So the commission needs to know what's, not because you're nosy, but because you're being presented a point of, it's not, this project is not feasible for residential development. Well, if you raise the price so high, maybe you take it out of residential development yourself. But they don't have a right to have some exorbitant profit in 6 years, and the city has to eat whatever they propose because woe is me, I need to make enough money. I know we're Opa-locka, but we gotta demand more information and say, wait a minute, we're not getting technical information, what's really needed to fix this. Mr. Lee was asked by Commissioner Kelly, well, how much money would it take to clean up this site? And he said, I don't know, 10 million. But that answer you need a real number to come to an intelligent decision. It's not Mr. Lee supposing not it's his fault, and Commissioner Kelly and the lack of information kind of surmising what's going on. You need better information to decide we're going to give up 1/16 of our land to industrial use and take it out of the hands of residents and affordable living and affordable housing in our community to try to make a community because we didn't get the information. Just one last thing I wanted to bring to your mind. Another thing is when I spoke to the owner, Mr. Reese, I don't know if I caught him at a bad moment or something at that time, but he was kind of in a tizzy because Durham at the time was requiring that, this is why I brought this, that the land, the residential land around the site, it's on page 3 here of what I printed out, that they were suspecting that there was contamination on the southwest corner. So Durham wanted testing, boring of the residential areas to see if there was contamination. So now if you allow them to get out of the residential infrastructure or parameters and allow them to do industrial, what happens to the residents and the possible in the area and the neighboring areas and the possible contamination that we're facing if we allow them to slip out, flip it to the next guy? And what about the residents? I'm not a resident here, but I got to tell you, I really enjoy Opa-locka. I owe Opa-locka a lot for many reasons. And for example, like 3 years ago, I said, you know, the kids in Opa-locka, if they could just have driver's license, blah, blah. And at the time, the former vice mayor said, there's not enough high school kids here to get them driver's license. We don't really have a community. And I thought, God, I never really thought about it. I just come here to work, but the viability of the city. If you can't get, if there's 16,000 residents and you're giving 1/16 of the land away, in theory, there's 1,000 people that can be living in that land as long as it was fixed. The owner, when he bought it, he knew what he was walking into. Why do we now have to bend over barrel to allow the guy to get out scot-free with a bunch of money? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Members of the commission, Gregory Gay, I just want to add some additional information from Mr. Lee's presentation. As it stands right now, the condition of the site is that it has gone through an environmental assessment. There has been some surface cleaning as it relates to the site, but there hasn't been a process that will require DERM review and approval to the removal of the contamination that's in the site. So there below the surface, there are still contaminations there. So I wanted to make that clarification there to make sure that you understand the variations that we're dealing with as it relates to this site. There are numerous things that have to be taken in consideration. And I don't want to put it out there in such a way to basically make it seem as if this site cannot be developed for residential use. There are sites in South Florida that have been designated as brownfield sites, and they have been developed for residential and commercial use. As Mr. Cooper said, it's really based on the level of cleanup. And one of the things that the city is because we've invested through the CRA as well as, you know, through the comp plan, seeking to have this as a mixed use development, mixed use community. We would like to see a variety of things take place on that particular site, not just something that's more or less industrial or commercial oriented. That could be a part of it, but it doesn't have to be the primary focus of it. And last, I just wanted to basically put on the record that the department basically has to follow the rules that are within our code. You are the policymakers as it relates to those rules. So if you as a board decide to change those rules, we as the department will follow the new rules. So don't think that because we may recommend in one particular direction for this particular project or against this particular project, that you are lock, stock, tied to that recommendation. You as the commission can change those policies, and the staff will follow suit. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear from the citizens now.
I'm Michael Jones, 2110 Wilmington Street. And warehouses? No. If you look at the current warehouses that we have around in that area, they all messed up. Look at the one across the canal by Ingram Park. With the trailers all opened up. Garbage falling out the back of them. People living in there. And then you got this side here is dirty, and you got the kids going out there with jet skis playing in the water. Nobody's telling them that the water is dirty. Nobody's telling them that they can't fish in there. Nobody's telling them that they can't swim in there. The police come down there, they run the kids from down there, they always go back. They don't know what they're getting into. The chemicals that's getting into their bodies, eventually it's gonna come to us, the people that stay in that neighborhood. We already had the rats coming from there. When they moved that garbage from down there, we had rats coming all the way down Wilmington Street to 22nd Avenue. Possums, coons, everything, you name it, is there. They dumping trash on the site. Everything there. And we got to put up with another warehouse? I don't think so. If you want to put anything there, clean it up and put us a grocery store there. Opa-locka needs a grocery store. We need a Publix, a Winn-Dixie, Albies, whatever. We need a grocery store for our community. We tired of going to Miami Lakes. We tired of going to Miami Gardens. We tired of going to North Miami to go get groceries. Can we get a grocery store for us? I done seen white sand come out that canal when they first started. Been there for 65 years. I seen it all come down there. When they drilled it out with the white sand, I used to play in that. Then after they covered it back up, they let Cuyahoga come there with demolition stuff, throwing pipes, old plumbing stuff down there with big trucks coming down the street, tearing up our houses, making our houses crack. How much the residents you're gonna put on the residents? How much you gonna put on us? We can only take so much. And I'm telling you now, no. Give us a grocery store or something. Bring Ingram Park all the way around that lake and make all that beautiful. So all us could see something beautiful, because we been there so many years taking all this crap. I'm sick of it. I'm totally sick of it. You guys need to get on your ball. Tell them no. My grandkids want to play at Ingram Park. Extend it all the way around the lake. We don't need no two-story houses there and two-story apartments there. Come on, guys. We want to see the lake too. We want to feel the breeze come off of that lake. We want to see that lake. We like to see the sun rise up on that lake. Ingram Park is a beautiful park. It has wonderful potentials. It will look way better than Shibundi if you spend money over there. But so far, we won't spend no money on that side of 22nd. We're
Sir,
always
sir,
spending it over
if you
here.
don't mind, let's keep it to
All
what
right,
we're
yeah,
talking
we keep it
about.
like that.
so we
But
can have-
anyways, I'm a no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice Mayor, Commissioner Bass. Brian Dennis, address 2140 York Street. I went and watched the last commission meeting, and if you know me, I'm pro development as far as long as the residents benefit from employment from the company. What I also looked at is that you all are in a quandary, because there was some indecisiveness as far as whether the program, whether the item was going to pass on the agenda or not, and now we're here. What I will say is that you all are not Miami-Dade County, meaning you don't have a staff or a team of people that could go out and do Durham and actually look at it. Now, one of the things that Mr. Cooper did say was about the Durham. Olinda Park, they ripped Olinda Park completely up because of what was under there, and the chemicals was there a few years ago. So now my thing would be is for you all is to advise you all on this here. This is not the county commission or the city of Miami commission where you have a large staff of people. The majority of the commission works and then come in here as a service to this particular community. What I would ask you all to do from a business standpoint and from what Mr. Jones just said, which is absolutely right, is to take your time and find out what is actually and really going on. And I understand as far as it was said at the last one of the commission meetings prior to that people have felt like they were being bullied, but you can't be bullied if you sit your people to the table and get the proper and right information. So when it comes to Durham, the old Scott Project Scott Project and another development that was in Model City, they used the Durham to correct a lot of those projects before they even built on it. Now I remember Cuyahoga when we moved out here in 1986, how it was in the traffic that was going in. If the residents are going to be totally affected by it, then you have to do your due diligence and do your homework. I am a supporter of anything that's economic development that's going to bring jobs to the community and help. But if it's also going to depend on the chemicals in the ground, and then years later it comes out that Opa-locka becomes Flint, then we're going to have an issue. Now the city is going to be liable, and then there's going to be something that's going to be said, and then they're going to look at this commission as the commission that afforded it to go forward. I don't know what the timetable is. I don't know how long that do you all have to actually consider the item and vote on the item, but my job would be to do your due diligence. You have a lot of residents that have a lot of concern. I am one of those residents that have concern after watching the last meeting. That, I'm co-signing what Mr. Jones said, but it's also the opportunity for economic development. So it's a catch-22. Allow yourself to do the proper homework, and if you have to put the item to the side or whatever you have to do, then you do that. But just come up with a proper answer and get the due diligence that done, because Cuyahoga did do a lot of damage to the city.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Now, my name is James Jacobs. I'm at 2161 Rutland Street. I've been in Opa-locka for 69 years, next year be 70. Right in that same little circle. My parents are probably turning in their grave because see, my parents and them, my wife's parents, they fought to keep these kind of things out of that community. They battled to get the community to be safe and beautiful. When I was kids, like Mike was saying, we had trucks coming through there. And parents and them had to fight to get them trucks from coming in and out of there. They always want to put that spot into some kind of commercial property and want the city to zone it for some kind of commercial property. I don't know what's the problem, why they want that spot so bad, but I plead for y'all to keep them out of that spot. If they want to make a residential, fine. Put some nice, homes around there, beautified, but we don't need no commercial sites down in that area. And as mentioned about them trucks supposed to come on State Road 9, ain't gonna happen. The state ain't giving it. If they told them that, they not gonna give it to them because they told them that same tale before. When they told them that the Cougar Hooga boys gonna come off of State Road 9. And I happen to know one of the commissioners that grew up right in that same street when I live on. She can tell you too that them trucks came right down that street, because she lived on that street. So that's stuff about the State Road 9. But I ask you all to vote for no for it. If you get the facts like you can, study your facts. Residential stuff is nice. I'm trying to get it prepared for my grandchildren and my son, like my parents did for me. I thank you for letting me speak to you.
Afternoon. Johnny Green, 2091 Wilmington Street. And I'm appalled about what they want to put in our community. What can a warehouse do in our community? What can it do? Nothing. And I've been in Opa-locka for a long time, very, very long time, longer than some of you have been in this world. My concern is we have not, I'm home all day because I'm a retiree. And I haven't spoken to anyone about meeting with the citizens about bringing this, no outreach or anything. So how can someone come into our community and want to do this? We voted for mayor, commissioners, and we're looking for you all to take care of us because we took care of you when you were walking, and I'm quite sure you saw some of this stuff. Cuyahoga, years and years, there's a lot of asbestos down there. We go way back to Freeman Collins, the Collins family. We've been fighting for a long time. So now you want to come in, change the residential to an industrial? That's a disgrace. A disgrace. Why would you even let them come in and talk to us about that? Because it is a slap in the face. And the person who came to the city with that should be ashamed of himself or herself. Opa-locka is known as the what? The dumping city. Everybody comes to Opa-locka. We have so many car lots, broken cars, everything. Now you want to bring a darn warehouse in the city, and you're not going to enter from State Road 9 because we have the jet skiers tearing up our street. I can sit on my porch and 5, 6, 7, you know, you run them away, they come back. They were supposed to exit from the park. It never happened. Don't tell me that these people gonna come in and hire people, because on 22nd Avenue, some of my neighbors went down to get a job while they were building that building. Oh, he's not here. The person you need to speak to isn't here. Where is he? The next day, the same thing. So they say they're gonna hire the people in the community. They lying. Always have lied. Always have. And like I said, we, the citizens of the east side, why not build it on the west side? You have more land on the west side than we have on the east side. I would like to sit out and have a Dunkin' Donut or whatever and enjoy a cup of coffee. Or go to a sandwich shop down there. I would love that. I can walk there. But a darn warehouse? A warehouse? I dare you. No way will we settle for a darn warehouse in our community.
Good evening. Althea Jacobs, 2161 Rutland Street, born and raised and still reside there. To reiterate, and let me say this. We call this city the great city of Opa-locka, the beautiful city of Opa-locka. I don't see it. I keep looking for it. We have beautification of our homes. Nice. Everywhere you look, and you don't have to look far, we have so many undesirable businesses. I once spoke with commissioners, not this commission, one before that, one before that. And I was told, well, these businesses brings revenue. Where's the revenue? What is it going to do? What did you spend it on? I don't see it. We have too many paint and body shops, too many warehouses, too many mechanics, too many recycling. And there's nothing to benefit the citizens, nothing nice. We have those new condos, they call them now, right there on 22nd Avenue, so far and in between. But we have land. But what we do with it? Rezone. Keep rezoning to accommodate these type of businesses. As my husband said, we were young when Cool Hooga was down there. The trucks coming down there times a day, morning, early morning, tear up the streets. Yeah, they were told to clean up that site. How many years it took them to do it? And what did they do? Surface cleaning. They dug up so much metal down there, it was ridiculous. Metal. And what else? Tires. And what else? You name it. And that was surface. They didn't go down deep. So where's the contamination? Down deep. We have contamination all over the city. If you think about it, who's going to oversee what they do to make sure that they're following the rules? Warehouses? No. Please think about the citizens. You always say, you all don't come to the commissioner meetings. You all don't do this. You don't need 200 to say what 50 is saying. You don't. 3 will do. Because believe me, we talk to each other. We see each other. We're saying what everybody wants. Do not let this happen. Because they're going to tell you what you want to know, what you want to hear, and they're going to slide under the scale and do it. Only what they think is necessary. And the place will not be cleaned up the way it should be. Cuyahoga should have been made to do what they were supposed to do before they left, after they left. But that wasn't done. So somebody gonna come in now and want to use that land. They only gonna do what they need to do to pass this little code. That's not gonna happen. Don't let that happen. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Johnny Mae Banks, 14250 Northwest 21st Court. I just want to say, I agree with everyone that has come up here. I agree 100% for everyone that has come up here. I agree. And all I want to say is, no warehouses. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, sister.
Good afternoon. My name is Molly Smith. I live at 2080 Wimbledon Street, Opa-locka, Florida. Molly Smith, 2080 Wimbledon Street, Opa-locka. I've been there like about 15 years in front of Miss Johnny Mae Green. And I think she has did a beautiful job in the neighborhood cleaning it up. And we sit there every day. I'm retired too, so I sit there every day and I see all these big boats, you know, all these nasty warehouses. The fires will be burning out there, you know. We don't need that in our neighborhood. So I would just agree with everybody and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Melanie Kozart, 2210 Rutland Street, Opa-locka. I've been there next month, June the 6th, be 66 years. I came out of Jackson Hospital in that house and I'm still there. And the thing about it, y'all need a better Opa-locka. I agree with everybody say. I used to walk down the street to Coyote when I was 14, when they used to be down there, the warehouses and stuff with the trucks and stuff. But the thing about it, I stay on 2210 Rutland Street. The house next to me is 2210, 2220. Y'all clean up everybody behind everybody's house behind that field except my house. All them big trees coming all the way towards my house. I talked to one of them one time before and they was cleaning up where Kingdom Moore Hospital was. They were cleaning that and I asked the man why they won't cut them big old trees. They cleaning up behind the fence, except my fence. 2210 Rutland Street. The field right behind it, next to Helen Miller Park. And they need to cut all of them tall, big trees, because I be scared. I don't know who be back there sleeping in them trees back there. Y'all do everything for on the other side of 27th Avenue. Y'all don't do nothing. Y'all put palm trees over there on 27th Avenue for those people. Y'all put them phony trees over there at Opa-locka. That's why lots of people remove them themselves. And we did ours on too. Tuck it up.
Thank you. We're still listening, still open.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Vice Mayor, Commissioner, and everybody in their respective places. And what I'm about to say, and with all due respect, Chief Otley, as a former chief, I have to speak as a byproduct of this community. I was not only born and raised here, reared here, between here and the famous Scott Project. Thanks for remembering, Mr. Dennis. Also, my grandchildren, my children, and I'm a generational product from grandma with the chickens and ringing the chickens, but just moving fast forward, present and futuristic. Cuyahoga on a law enforcement turn has always been an eyesore and a problem. Not only did the trucks come, with trucks came undesirables, drugs, women, etc. Always was a problem. And you know what? Opa-locka is going places moving forward. And I'm proud of this city. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. We got some places to go and we got to get there. And we need you all, like we come out and vote for you, in campaign for you with the right heart of mind, because we all share the same economical concerns. We don't want, listen, we got to clean it up, period. We got the use of the county. We pay county taxes. We pay 2 taxes. Isn't that right? Okay, so we got uses and resources and y'all got it. And I see a lot of things y'all doing with the counties and other departments. I'm proud of the networking and things of that nature. But Opa-locka moving forward, because guess what? Opa-locka on the news. Y'all look at the news and see they do the weather in Opa-locka. They talk about the weather in Opa-locka. That means we move. Guess what else? People come from all over. I live in, I ain't gonna say that word. I'm gonna just say homestead. They come and got something to say about Opa-locka. You know what that means? That means we listening and people following. That means we are doing some things. Are we still behind? Yes. Do we need to move forward? Yes. Do we need to keep moving forward? And as far as Cuyahoga, we're going to clean it up. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to do just like Dorel and all these. Everywhere I go now, I'm scared to move. I don't know if I should drive or just go on the island, because everything is going up, going up, going up. We need to what? Go up too. We don't need no more dumps. Opa-locka is not a dump site. No more warehouses. No more warehouses. Take them somewhere else. We need businesses, like Miss Johnny Mae Green said. Let's walk to the Dunkin' Donuts down there. Let's build like in DC and all these other places. Dorel, you got the businesses downstairs, and they rent apartments upstairs. People got a site coming down State Road 9. Look at Opa-locka. Look at what we're doing in the Triangle. Those beautiful homes up there. Opa-locka is changing, and we got to keep changing. Okay, we got to keep moving forward and doing what's right. The nastiness gone with Cuyahoga. Cuyahoga gone, and the nastiness too. And whoever want to do something unconscionable of what we, the people, want, we want to continue to look in our community and feel good. We never denounce the great city of Opa-locka. I've never said I'm not from Opa-locka. I'm proud of Opa-locka. And guess what? We're going to move forward by faith. We're going to do it with our commissioners. We're going to do it with this community, because we're here and we stand for something. And we got to help, because, and look what's here. Look who's here. Most of the older people that invested in this community. And we want to continue to invest in for our children. I have children, grandchildren, but nevertheless, no to warehouse, no to warehouse, no, no, no. Economic subsidy, give us something. Let us continue to be proud of our city and look for, one other thing on the law enforcement. When I lived here, I hardly got sleep. And you know what? I was glad, because people knocked on my door, my mama door. That's why I give her some peace now. I never said go call the police department. What I did, I had a radio. I called for officers. Right now, people call me. Do I, Chief? Do I not call you or act? Because I love this city. I'm here for this city, and we do. I want these officers to not be afraid to bring their families here. I want us to have stores here. I had to go out to stores like everybody say, why we can't have them here? Oh, there's Officer, there's Chief Casey, there's Chief Otley. Oh, they work here. Yeah, let us walk our stores. Let us bring our families here. Let these officers bring their families where they serve. Protect and serve. That'll make you feel better. If the officers come here and bring their families here, my family's here, always been here and continue to come. And I was proud. Okay? So no warehouses. What y'all say? No warehouses? In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Rose Titus, 1101 Dunad Avenue. I learned something tonight. I thought that Cuyahoga was still in the hands of the former owners. I did not know that they had changed hands in 2018. Having said that, when I came to Opa-locka in 1976 as the city clerk, the same problems existed at Cuyahoga then that exist now. Cuyahoga is responsible for the contamination. They were working on they had a project at that particular time, and they would come and bring their
dump the contamination on that property. Opa-locka never tended to its due diligence in charging them and receiving. If we just had the money on violations, we could buy their portion of that property and not just be partial owners. I agree with this gentleman here. When he comes out his backyard, I don't live on the east side. I live on the west side. But as far as I'm concerned, I live throughout the community. The community at large represents me, represents everyone. The east side represents the west side. The west side represents the east side. I was coming home this afternoon from an appointment down 22nd Avenue. And it just so happened, I looked and, I saw all these storage places and, I pass by them all the time. There's the wall and then there's above the wall. Automobiles stacked up beyond the wall. We don't need that. We don't need that. We need to be thinking about beautification. We need to be thinking about residential. There's a beautiful botanical garden in South Dade. This gentleman needs a botanical garden where you can have events, where you can have weddings, where people will come from the north, south, east, west to have their event at our botanical garden. There's many things that you can do there. A water theme park, a beautiful people will come from north, south, east, west, out of the state to come to a beautiful water water theme park. It's big enough. Just recover the funding that is due us from years past, and we can buy the property and do whatever we want to do. I am with the resounding west side. No more storage, no more warehouses.
Good evening.
Good evening.
George Suarez, 1341 Dunot Avenue. I just want to reiterate what this gentleman talking about bringing stores into our community. That is the best way to keep the dollar in our community. Because right now the dollar is not staying in Opa-locka. The dollar probably stays maybe 2-3 days. We got to look at it maybe beyond 20 days because other communities that's surrounding us, they have 21, 25 days. And Opa-locka, once you cash your check, you got to go to Miami Gardens. You got to go everywhere else to find a grocery store. We don't even have a Starbucks. That's scary. And you have 15 of them in Miami Gardens, and another 20 in Miami Lakes, another 15 in North Miami Beach. Again, what does that show you? That show you the dollars in their community. So let's work on that. Let's work on the fact that all these opportunities that we have a great opportunity. We found the greatest commission, police chief, everything that's going on in our city. Again, she said it right. Opa-locka is on the weather. I was in Tallahassee and I saw Opa-locka on the weather. So think about that. And at the same time, we got to look forward to the kids that's running around here. What we're going to leave for them. Are we going to leave a dump spot where you're going to be afraid to go in and take a glass of water out of your faucet? Because my kids are being raised here, all three of them. And everybody know who my kids are. One of them is studying to be a police officer. Another one wants to be a chef. Another one wants to be a doctor. What legacy are we leaving our kids? And if we continue to put Band-Aids and give people opportunity to treat our city as the greatest garbage can, we can't allow that. Because I've been living here from 2015. And trust me, I've seen changes. And I don't think we should keep going back and forth. For every time we take 10 steps, we're taking 9 back. It doesn't work. Let's just work on the fact that community development, all of us need to come together. Let's support each other. Somebody open up a business, let's put the business in up front. Let's find a way to keep the dollar in Opa-locka. Let's stop spending our dollar outside of Opa-locka. Let's find a way to capitalize off of that. We got enough warehouses. We got enough. And industrial businesses. Let's find something else that can help our community develop even more. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? How you doing? My name is Brandon Lawrence, 1980 Wilmington Street. The last house on the right side next to the lake. No for warehouses, no for apartments on Wilmington Street. You can build residential or extend Ingram Park all the way to Wilmington Street. You guys don't keep the lake clean. The bushes along the lake, I have one section that I keep cut all the time. Some of the residents can tell you that because I'm always sitting by the water. I watch the sunrise and everything like that. I want you to clean up that side just like you clean up Ingram Park side where you guys have that walkway all the way out into the water. But like I said, if you can extend the park to Wilmington Street, that's fine. You want to build residentials, that's fine, single family homes, but no apartments, no warehouses, nothing like that. All right.
Mr. Bryan, what was your last name? Lawrence? Thank you.
We have a few more minutes, maybe 5 more minutes, because we have a 7 o'clock meeting. So anybody else would like to speak before we give our closing remarks?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sandra Jones. That's my husband, Michael. I grew up in Opa-locka on 21st Court. He's on Wilmington Street. We've been married 47 years, so I've been there in Opa-locka. We do not need a warehouse down there. They need something that will benefit the citizens, the kids, where they can have something else to do. Make it, like someone else said, maybe a water park. Build something on further down from the park, extending down Wilmington Street, where the other part of the lake is. Of course, they need a grocery store, because what do people do? If they go around there off of 27 to that little thing by the fish market, you don't want to go there. Give us a grocery store, no warehouse, clean it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan Cooper, 6801 Southwest 75th Terrace. I'm not a resident of Opa-locka like my dad, but just wanted to say that this is like Rome wasn't built in a day. So in a way, you have the opportunity to bring the building blocks for Opa-locka, because I've been in Opa-locka since I was a little kid because my dad's a business owner. But you have the opportunity to beautify Opa-locka, and I would like to see that because I do drive through Opa-locka and I go to school in Gainesville. So when I come back to Miami, I go to UF. When I come back to Miami and I get to see Opa-locka and I compare it to Miami Gardens, I think Opa-locka should be parallel to Miami Gardens. You have the opportunity to beautify Opa-locka. So I know it's going to take time, but please try. Thank you.
Thank you.
It'd be better than Miami Gardens.
I'm gonna give my closing remarks and I will turn the floor over to my vice mayor. Was there anyone else that wanted to speak? Okay, you can go. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mhm.
Good evening to all. I'm Dr. Retevia Walden, 1860 Service Road, Opa-locka 33054. All right now. First of all, I just want to say no, like everybody else did. First of all, we need to clean that up. Not only have we had trash back there, we know that they had a sign up there that said cancerous. Somebody has removed that sign off of that gate. Yes. We have cameras for illegal dumping that's been placed up there. I believe they're fictitious cameras because they still dump back there. Not only that, we've also had cars that have been put back there, and they've said that there were dead bodies back there. So there might be bones back there as well. So when the rubber meet the road, we need to clean that up back there. We need to stop the dumping. We need to clean the roads. Not only that, the streets are cracking from the trains. from the vessels that have been back there, and I've been on that street almost 40 years. We do know that they will not have an entrance or an exit on State Road 9. I believe that is a lie. Those big vessels will come through there, crack the streets, run into the homes. We also need to remove the gate that's along State Road 9 and Service Road and put walls like in the other areas that we can't hear all of the traffic. I've even seen cars flip over to the point of coming past those gates, but thank God for the gates. The streets need to be repaired. The homes need to be repaired. And we need to do our due diligence because we do elect everybody that's here to make sure that everybody do what's necessary to stick to code enforcement first. So I do say no to whatever they're building back there before we clean it up, and then we can come back to the table. God bless you all.
Thank you. And again, because we have a 7 o'clock scheduled meeting, I just want to say thank you to everyone who came out. And I don't say that I'm from the west side. I don't say I'm from the east side. I'm from Opa-locka. I am from Opa-locka, not the east, not the west, Opa-locka. And I would wish that I would hear that more because we have a tendency of separating ourselves. Let's not do that. Because my thing is together we stand, divided we fall. If we keep saying I'm from the west side, you're from, that's automatic separation. Let's not do that. Let's speak as a unit. We're from Opa-locka. Anybody ask you where you're from? Opa-locka, and keep moving because that's what I do. I don't separate myself. And I just want to tell Vice Mayor, thank you so much for doing this with me. We're here because we wanted to hear what you have to say. We're here because we want, your voices are important to us. Your thoughts are important. If it was not, I would be home waiting for my 7 o'clock meeting. Truthfully, that's where I would be. But because I needed to hear what you have to say, because I have to vote on this issue. If I'm your mouthpiece when it comes to voting, I need to hear what you have to say. So please don't ever think that Commissioner Bass, you know, and I always hear, oh, we voted y'all in and we could take, that means absolutely nothing to me because I tell people I'm here because this is where God put me. And when my time is over, he will have me to exit. So that really doesn't work for me. And I don't mean to offend anybody by saying that, but it's true because that's what we hear all the time. I'm not here for fame or fortune. I'm here to serve the people. And I want to be known as the commissioner who serve the people. And that's it. That is my goal, is to serve the people. I want to be your mouthpiece. And that's what I am going to be tonight at 7 o'clock, your mouthpiece. Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bass. We have a really tedious job. I don't know many people that have 16,000 bosses. We have 16,000 bosses, and it gets difficult sometimes. But we knew that we had to hear from you all. You know, I'm the lady that's in a little buggy. A guy told me, say, I see the buggy, but I didn't know that was you. And we had great dialogue yesterday. Yes. And I am here working for you all. I wanted to, for the record, to put on record that we had conversation. You all had conversation with us. Lord knows I heard everything you said. Some of you, I've heard it 3 or 4 times, but I've heard it. I learned some things here today. Thank you, Rose Titus, Commissioner Rose Titus, for the history lesson. And I am ever so grateful that you all took time out of your schedules to come and let us know how you feel. I heard you, God heard you, and at 7 o'clock, we'll have this meeting. You all are welcome. Some of our colleagues, for whatever reason, isn't here. Maybe need to stay to 7 o'clock and get a chance to voice your opinions to them. But I heard you. loud and clear. The no, 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 no. I heard you, my bosses.
All 14 of the no's.
I wrote it down. Yes, yes, we heard you. Okay, thanks again for coming out and we really do appreciate it. You're welcome to stay till 7, until we have, what is it called? Yeah, our regular commission meeting. You will come up at Citizens Forum if you want to stay. You're welcome to stay. Thank you.
And if any of you want to contact any of us, you're just call us, email us, come to see us. We'll make ourselves available.
We did not adjourn the meeting, the workshop. The workshop is adjourned. I'm sorry.